All right, welcome back to the Attack the Rack YouTube channel. This is the Attack the Rack podcast with myself and Big Mo. We come to you every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. right here on the Attack the Rack YouTube channel. We are recording here the day prior. It is Friday. The day this comes out is Saturday, just 7 days away from Michigan's first football game, home game, night game versus Fresno State. And we are going to be talking a lot of Michigan football today. We have an interview coming up for you later in the program with one of the biggest Michigan fans that either of us know, myself or Big Mo, have ever met in our entire lives. Incredible interview with him, talking some history of Michigan football and looking ahead to this upcoming season. I think we're probably going to get quite a few viewers here tuning in here, wanting to watch the interview we have coming up with Sammy. So to all our new viewers here, would love to get you to hit that subscribe button. It takes you about a half a second, and it is a quick, easy, free way to support what we are doing with our Attack the Rack YouTube channel.
Can they subscribe? Can they subscribe while they're watching the podcast?
Yeah, I think they're right on the screen here. You just click. There's a subscribe button. Yeah,
Like right through there somewhere.
somewhere down there. Yeah, all you gotta do, click it, bam, and that just by doing that, it helps us out a ton. The more subscribers we get, the more that the YouTube algorithm pushes our content out into the world. On top of that, just hitting that little thumbs up, giving us a like, and that helps a ton as well. We do put out content almost every day. So as long as you're checking back at, on a daily basis, you're going to be able to keep up to date with everything we're doing. But if you would prefer, there's a little bell there. You can click that bell, and that will give you a notification every time we upload content. Our weekly schedule looks a little something like this. Every Monday morning at 7 a.m., I go live for about 15, 20 minutes, recapping the weekend in sports. And then every Tuesday night, Wednesday night, and Thursday night at around 7 o'clock p.m., we upload our daily lineup show, which is with myself, Big Mo, and Trent Windemuller, where we are talking about the latest in sports. And then Saturday morning, we have our Attack the Rack podcast that you are watching right now with myself and Big Mo. Coming up week 1 of the NFL season and all through the NFL season, Sunday mornings, we will also have an NFL pick show. Joining me for that will be our NFL expert pickers, Chad Zagar and Peter Hunsberger. Each week they pick 3 games, and we keep tabs on how they do throughout the season. One other thing tonight, as we're recording here on Friday tonight. If you're watching this Saturday, last night, released just the interview portion of the podcast from last week with Steve Edson. Absolutely phenomenal interview with him, 30-year coach here in West Michigan. Got a lot of great feedback on that interview. A lot of people enjoyed that. So now it is up on its own, just the interview. And speaking of interviews, like I said, we have a great interview coming up here later in the program with Sam Callejas talking Michigan football. We also have to welcome him to the Attack the Rack Sports Media Company family. He is the very first sponsor. We got to give him a huge thank you. Very first sponsor of the Attack the Rack Sports Media Company.
Guys, every family party or social event needs something special. Bubba's Bounce House Rentals LLC can do that for you. They provide inflatable bounce houses and water slides on top of great service in the West Michigan Lakeshore area. Call Bounce Master Sam at 616-485-0257 today and mention the Attack the Rack to get $25 off your next rental. Also find Bubba's Bounce House Rentals LLC on Facebook. Bubba's Bounce House Rentals, all we rent is fun.
Awesome. And we will put the contact info for Bubba's Bounce Houses Rentals LLC in the description for this video. Big Mo, first week teaching your side hustle, teaching first week with students in the book. Now it's a 4-day week. Is that correct?
40 week.
40. Now you used to do 4-day weeks up through Labor Day weekend. Is that still a thing?
Yep. So yeah, we'll have a 4-day week next week, and then Labor Day obviously falls in during the week there. Take that Monday off, and then we're back at it full go. So always exciting, always a little anxiety, a little nervousness, a little bit of butterflies, and I'm sure everybody's stomach as they head back and get used to that schedule. So yeah, great week, back at it. Curt, we chat a little bit about my side hustles once in a while. You got a little something new going on.
Yeah, I have recently, well, a few years ago, I got my real estate license. And then just as a short stint, got out of it. And recently renewed my license, and I teamed up with a real estate agent here in the West Michigan area, Ryan Kruitoff. Good friend, longtime friend, friend of yours as well. You know him well. Always encouraged me to get back in the game, and was able to work out a really nice kind of deal with him, where really I'm trying to get clients to bring to the team. So with that being said, not to add another promo to the program, but hey, if you are out there and you are looking to sell your home, buy a home, reach out to me and I can put you in contact with the leader of our team, Mr. Ryan Kruitoff. Yeah, I'm enjoying it, Big Mo. I'm learning a lot. It's even when I got out of it, it's always been something that's kind of sparked my interest. I know you're interested in it as well. You and I talk about possibilities, different streams of income in the world of real estate, getting into the rental business maybe one day. So definitely something that sparks my interest. A lot of fun, learning a lot. So.
Well, good. Yeah. No, it's we both know a ton of amazing realtors, people that are out there doing it. So um, lucky to have Ryan on board with Attack the Rack and obviously others, maybe down the road. So
Yep. Realtor Ryan is also sponsor number 2. So we are growing here at the Attack the Rack YouTube channel. It's pretty exciting. Finally getting to that point where we're starting to get some interest from local businesses that want to advertise with us. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty exciting. So, all right. So Big Mo, you are first weekend, first 3 weeks here.
Easing our way back into it.
Easing your way back into it with some 4-day weeks here, the first 3 weeks. All right, let's get into it. I mentioned last week on the podcast that when I go back after producer Dale edits these and uploads them, and I go back and watch them, and sometimes I wonder, like, what the heck was I saying? And so I did it again. I think it was Thursday's episode. We were talking about Tyler Badgett's from the Chicago Bears on Hard Knocks, his brother Travis, who was on Hard Knocks, incredibly entertaining guy, got hit up by a viewer letting me know that he is a famous arm wrestler and has been an arm wrestling champion, and turned me on to this documentary about it's part of it's about the GOAT of arm wrestling. Okay. And my apology is to him for screwing up his name big time on the Daily Lineup show on Thursday. His name is John Brzenk, and I torched his name, and I apologize for that. Anyway, phenomenal documentary.
If he's out there watching, I'm sure he'll accept the apology.
I'm sure he's watching. So, but if not, would you mind accepting the apology on his behalf?
Yeah, I accept it for him.
Okay. So anyway, John Brzenk, awesome dude too. Awesome arm wrestler. Documentary is called Pulling John. It's about him and then 2 other famous arm wrestlers, one of which is Tyler Badgett from the Chicago Bears' older brother Travis. So really entertaining. The cool thing is John Brzenk had a cameo in one of your favorite movies, Big Mo, featuring Sylvester Stallone, Over the Top.
Classic. If you haven't seen it, you should link it somehow to the podcast there, producer Dale, and give everybody a chance to find it. Tune into it, watch it, rewatch it. It's a movie classic.
Yeah, from the 80s. And the thing is like that movie was, thinking more about it, that movie was so simple, so basic, but just an incredible story, entertaining, motivational. And I feel like they just don't make movies like that anymore. It's all now, it seems to be more about, the technology and the special effects. And it's like they forgot about the aspect that you still got to really tell a great story.
Yeah, I think it depends on where you look, Curt. I just watched a little. Oh man, I'm gonna forget the name. It was a new golf one, I think, on Netflix or.
A movie or a documentary?
That was a movie.
Oh, okay.
Real story shifted into a movie. I'm not gonna remember the name of it now. I just think you got to like search a bit. Now, how many movies do you start and not finish, right? Because you're looking for something.
Yeah.
It just turns out you pick a new one, it doesn't work. So I think I clicked through so many movies, you finally just run into one or two that turn out to be at least worthwhile to watch.
Yeah. But yeah, I just think like today's movies, as awesome as they are and as mind blowing as the special effects are, that aspect of really telling a great story is kind of lacking. So, but anyway, Big Mo, we got to get to this interview with Sam Callejas. Phenomenal interview for all you Michigan football fans out there and all you Sam Callejas fans. I know there's a lot of fans of Sam Callejas here in the Southwest Michigan area. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Let's get to it now.
All right. Hey, we welcome Sammy Callejas to the Attack the Rack podcast. Sammy, obviously a good friend of both of ours, but also I got to know Sammy in my time out in Fenville. We became friends. We coached together, and we still keep in touch. Now would be I've been out of Fenville for a while now, but 20 plus years. So we ended up coaching. I think first thing we coached together, Sammy, was some girls basketball down in Fenville. Is that correct?
Down in Fenville. It was probably 2004, 2005 ish. So we're pushing 20 years since we were on the courts, barking out orders. And a very challenging time for the Fenville girls basketball team.
Yeah, definitely. We were trying to get them back on track. We had a young group. And I know I needed just good people around the program, and Sammy wanted to get involved, and it was a fun friendship to kick off.
Right. And I just remember, there was talent there, but it was young, and a lot of girls got accelerated to some big time moments quick. I mean, they were playing against, what was that Shuffler girl?
Oh yeah,
in Waterville Elite. They went to U of M. I mean, I can remember, when those girls were sophomores, and I'm talking about like Hannah McFarland, Alyssa Farrell, when they were sophomores playing against that girl, and that girl was legit.
She was. We gave them. I remember. I don't know what year it was, but I know one of the years we almost beat them over in the old middle school.
Right, it was at the middle school, and I was going to just bring that up. It was at the middle school. Yeah, and that time, Saugatuck was dominant. They were still the big dog in the area.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, they had a lot of good players, and they had a lot of good players go on to play some college ball.
Right.
During that time. So Curt, how about your introduction to Sammy?
Well, Sammy, I often forget that we obviously we reconnected when I was, came down to Fenville and coached with Ryan as well. I coached the JV boys. I think you were also maybe coaching middle school boys, maybe.
Right. Yeah, I started off at coaching middle school boys, and then work with Ryan with the girls, and was doing both.
Yeah, but and obviously we became, good friends and still run into each other here every now and again. But I often forget that I actually met you in 7th grade. I think it was 7th grade You came for what was it? 1 year you came to Holland
I
Public?
came for like a semester and I went to East Middle School and it was relatively new at the time.
Yeah, it was. Or no, that would have been the second full year. Was
Yeah.
when I was in 7th grade, and then you were there, and you played on our soccer team.
You're right. And I don't even know. I just wanted to do something at the time. I really wanted to be on the football team, but it was too late. So I played soccer.
Yeah, yeah, because yeah, I remember that because we had already started the season, which is probably why they wouldn't let you play football. But
Football.
we were desperate for players on the soccer team. We only had 11 guys.
Yeah, I remember. All I remember about that was a lot of running. I didn't realize how much running soccer was. That's what I remember about that. And I
But then
remember,
oh, go
I
ahead.
remember, being impressed with the facility. Like coming from Fenville Middle School and then going to a brand new facility like that, I was impressed.
And then as quick as you came, you were gone.
Yeah, I was gone, man. Had to go
And
back
then
home.
and then I think I remember like a year or two later playing against you, I think in a 3-on-3 tournament at Saugatuck High School, maybe.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
and I was like, where have you been? And then, we reconnected there. And then from there, it wasn't until our coaching days that we
Right.
reconnected again. So I always forget like that we actually went to
Yeah.
school together.
30 years ago. 30 years ago, I believe Miss Miller's PE class. Yeah,
Miss
it was
Miller
different.
Figure. Yeah.
It was different. I remember it being different from Fenville.
Just a tad. I did not know that story. Interesting.
Yeah. I always forget that. Well, hey,
oh,
sorry.
ahead.
I was gonna say, and then speaking of coaching, I did help out Big Mo with the varsity girls 1 year, and wanted to bring up a story, owe you an apology. There was a game where, and you were the JV coach, and me and Big Mo were sitting on the bench during the JV game, and the officiating that night, surprisingly, was not very good, and and it was just so bad, and the official made a call, and for some reason, both Big Mo and we just started both dying laughing at the call. Was not premeditated. We both just burst into laughter. And unfortunately, we got a technical foul.
Well, thanks, buddy. You gave me. Thanks for trying to make that right. 30 years.
It's
20
been
years
bothering
later.
me for years.
Thanks. I forgot, but thank you.
Hey, and then speaking of coaching stories, before obviously we're talking about Michigan football today. Before we get into that, you got any good, maybe just one really good Big Mo coaching story?
I'm sure you don't have to think that hard about it. Come on.
Okay, all right. I got one. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of them. But definitely there was a challenging night in Saugatuck. I believe it was a Thursday night game. Coach Mo came in on the bus. He was not happy with
So it was an away game?
vibe. It was an away game at Saugatuck. He wasn't happy with the vibe on the bus, and I don't want to get into details, but just let's put it this way. 90 minutes later, I'm picking him up at Big Curve. He did not ride the bus home with us that night. That was interesting. Me personally, I never seen nothing like it at the time. But I think he sent a message. I don't know. I can't remember how the team responded, but I know there was a message sent that night.
And again, if you've watched the podcast or you have been watching the podcast, I do have a memory issue. Whether it's CTE, we're not 100% sure, but I'm asking this as a real question, Sammy. Go Blue. Are you the one who picked me up?
Yeah.
Okay.
You called me. I picked you up at Big Curve. I actually surprisingly was shocked. And let's be honest, did you get a ride there? Because that was pretty quick.
Hold on. I think we're missing a key component to this story, and that is, how did Big Mo get from Saugatuck High School all the way to the Big Curve gas station?
Hey, on foot.
On foot.
On foot. I bet it's more than 3 miles away. So I'm just curious, did you get a ride there?
The legend can never be I can't share my secrets of speed walking. I will say, so the story goes, it was a tough loss, and nobody was really happy because Saugatuck is a huge rival.
Right.
And I, as I came into the locker room, I was not pleased with a few things, and we'll we can elaborate on the story later on. Maybe have one of those players on, but I was not pleased. So we loaded up pretty quickly, and then I said, I'm not riding that bus home tonight. And Sammy, you rode the bus home, I believe.
Yeah, I rode the bus.
Yeah.
An adult had to ride the bus home.
So the timing worked out well, where you could come back and grab me,
Right.
and finish off the rest of my traveling home. So probably in my younger days, I was a little eccentric.
Let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this question, since we're
Okay.
going down memory lane. Do
Yeah.
you remember your first varsity girls basketball game and where it was at?
No.
Okay, your first varsity girls basketball game was at Marcellus, and
Oh,
we
wow.
lost.
A little bit travel.
We lost. We lost. I remember that was the first game. I was working at Holland Hitch, and I was working third shift, but I made it to the game. I drove separately. But yeah, you lost your first. I mean, no surprise. We were rebuilding that year.
Yeah. We had a nice mixture. We had a good
Crystal Skinner, I think, scored the most points. It was
yeah,
young. It was a young team.
that was her first game as a
Yeah,
varsity
it was
player.
a young team. You
Yeah.
had, like I said, you had pulled her up. Yeah,
With a bunch of freshmen. I think
with
we
a
had
bunch of freshmen that year.
Ashley
Yeah.
Holcomb, lefty,
Yeah,
was still trying to learn
right,
a different system from a different coaching
right.
style. So no, I don't remember that. But I don't remember what I did yesterday. So
Gotcha.
no surprise, I don't remember my first
Gotcha.
game.
10-4.
Good times though. Good times.
It was good times. It was learning times. A lot of learning. You learn how to manage people and personalities. And you learn how to manage parents, I guess, or try to.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's a balancing act. So a lot of stuff that I learned coaching helped me today in what I'm doing now, as far as like being a leader. Like I'm an entrepreneur. I got to lead. What I've done in the past in manufacturing, I've had to lead, and those skills that I learned of how to manage people, how to read people, how to look at people's strengths and weaknesses really helped me out.
Well, good. Well, it was. I enjoyed every second of it, almost every second, I guess. But enough about that.
Right.
We got you on here because you are renowned Michigan fan, hence the name Sammy Go Blue.
Yes, sir.
Still have saved in my phone over 20 years ago.
All right, we are about halfway through today's episode. That brings us to our segment, our halftime adjustment segment. We'll take a little bit of a break here from the interview with Sam Callejas. When we get back, we will jump right into all the Michigan football stuff. Halftime adjustment this week. Also proud to announce another sponsor we have, Big Mo. Real estate agent Ryan Kruitoff in the West Michigan area. Realtor Ryan has been a real estate agent for over 20 years and can help you with all of your real estate needs. Realtor Ryan has helped me in my journey into learning all about the different opportunities in the world of real estate, and he can do the same for you, whether you're looking to sell your home, buy a home, or maybe even get into the property rental business. Ring Realtor Ryan.
Nice to have another sponsor. Nice to have another sponsor, Curt.
Yes, we went from 0 just less than a week ago to 2. So we are excited about that.
Nice.
Anyone else who would like to sponsor anything we do, you can email us at attacktherack3333@gmail.com. Big Mo, my halftime adjustment, my adjustment for the week. I want to talk a little bit about the with school back in session now. I was out driving this morning and I noticed all these long lines of cars at all these schools, parents dropping students off, and these lines are ridiculous. And I'm wondering, do kids not ride the bus anymore? Number one. Number two, if you don't want to ride the bus, maybe do people not carpool anymore? I know when I was growing up until I got into high school and I could get a ride with a friend who had a license, or when I got my license, I didn't have to ride the bus anymore or carpool anymore. But growing up, it was either carpool with a group of about 3 or 4 other families, sorry, or ride the bus. What's going on nowadays? You're in the world of education. Is that a thing, or was it always like this and I just didn't realize it? I mean, these lines, they wrap around the schools, they go out into the road. Like, why why are we not riding the bus?
I think, I think a lot of it really is, I think kids are kind of like their own little, it's tough to like connect the dots and organize a carpool when you have probably elementary or middle school or teenagers. I don't have yeah, I can't imagine trying to like, for one, if you do, I think busing is still a thing, but I think sometimes those buses, they're picking kids up at 6:15, 6:30, and school doesn't start until 7:50 or 8 or 7:30, whatever. So you're talking about you're on the bus for an extra hour, maybe when you don't need to be. Um, so I think it's easier to cater to help the kids maybe get that extra 20 minutes, 30 minutes of some beauty sleep, getting ready, whatever it might be. I know I used to do my homework when I was in high school in the morning, so I wasn't gonna catch the bus myself. So no shame in the game, man. Got to do what's easier. Got to do what's easiest for the parents.
And I think the high school is a little bit different because into your sophomore year, you usually get your driver's license, so you have an opportunity to drive yourself to school. Or like I said, when I was in high school, I immediately, as a ninth grader, had older friends that had, a car and a driver's license, and a neighbor, and would catch a ride with him. So I'm just talking more about the younger ages. Maybe some of it has to do with too. It's just like there's maybe just not that same sense of community, in these neighborhoods, right? I lived in a neighborhood and there was, 4 or 5 of us that went to the same elementary school. And so there was a schedule each day of the week, a different parent picked everybody up and took us to school. And granted, we didn't, and actually when I was in elementary school, we lived too close to the school where a bus route wasn't provided. But I just feel like what a pain, for waiting in these lines. And it's like, if you get, I don't know.
Kurt, when you start to, when you got kids, you do what you can for them.
Yeah.
You sacrifice a few minutes waiting in line.
The other thing I see is parents driving their kids to the bus stop, or sitting in their parents' car until the bus arrives. It's just totally different now, than it was back then. And if kids do take the bus, if they do carpool, less cars on the roads, easier traffic, and better on the environment.
Is that your push for an environmental sponsor?
All right.
Electric cars.
Big Mo, your halftime adjustment for this week.
Halftime adjustment. I don't know if I've said this before, so I hope I haven't. But again, it's tough for me to remember what I did yesterday, let alone my halftime adjustment of the week. I'm going to start tracking these or something.
Yeah, we should.
Lawn, mowing your lawn.
Yeah.
What is up with that?
That's a time-old tradition.
I can't keep up.
Really?
Oh my goodness. My lawn's too high right now, so I gotta like mow it. I gotta put it on a higher setting, and then I gotta mow it either again, or I finally broke down and hired someone to to catch it back up because I couldn't keep up with the rain recently, and just an hour out of the day, not hour and a half out of my day. I got a push mower. Maybe I need a riding mower finally. I don't know.
Ooh.
That seems a little bit excessive though, so I can't quite make that purchase. So my halftime adjustment is lawn service is the way to go. I think you got to hire somebody.
How, if you were to, in your mind, mow it at the correct rate, not get lazy, not let it go an extra day or two. If you were to be spot on, how often would you think you need to mow your yard?
Well, I think if I kept up on it once a week,
Okay.
But all of a sudden, if I'm gone on a weekend, or especially over the summer, if I'm gone, you take that extra weekend day, and all of a sudden you come back, it seems to be ridiculous.
Is there different times of the year where grass grows at a faster rate?
No idea. I mean, I guess the more rain water it gets, probably grows a little quicker.
The reason I bring that up is, as I mentioned, we were talking earlier in the program about our side hustles. You're in teaching. I'm in real estate. I'm connected with our sponsor, Realtor Ryan, and I help him out with some property management stuff. And one of the things I do is I mow the yard for one of his rentals. And this spring, when I started, the first few times I mowed, maybe, May into June, I felt like the grass was growing like crazy. And then over the course of the summer, it seemed to maybe not grow quite as fast. And then all of a sudden, the last few weeks, it's been growing like crazy again. So I don't know if it's on some sort of cycle, or if, like you said, does it have to do with, well, it just kind of depends how much rain we get and when we get it. I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder maybe the cooler weather here, spring, fall.
Yeah, it's cooler here.
So, yeah. No, so halftime adjustment. Don't be afraid to hire that lawn service.
All right. Big Mo, let's get back to our interview with Sam Callejas.
What do we think? What are we thinking about this year's team, Sammy?
Well, you know what?
The Michigan Wolverines football team.
The Michigan Wolverines this year, I don't know. So this is what we got. We got a brutal schedule. That's, I would say, the negative right now.
3 top 10 teams.
Yeah, 3 top 10 teams. The positive is, and I guess this is a testament to Jim Harbaugh, is we're built from the inside out. So I always feel like if we're good on the lines and interiors, we have a chance. The big question mark is the quarterback. I think the defense solid, offensive. We're at the point now where we are kind of like back the Miamis and the Nebraskas and the USCs, where we're not recruiting no more. We're just reloading now. And one area where we're really good at is in an interior lines, and that's what will keep you in ball games. Period. Yep. You can control the clock on defensive line. When you're having a good defensive line, you put pressure, and when you put pressure, people make mistakes. And when you don't have to blitz to put pressure, because you can get that pressure from your interior line.
Yeah. It gives you a chance every night, no matter if you're young at the QB or a little young at the skilled positions or different guys. Yeah, sure. Definitely. I would agree. I do think that was a positive of, even though it's not always fun to watch, a positive of Harbaugh style is the pound. We're going to run it. We're running it. We're not super fun to watch all the time, but it does keep you in almost every ball game.
It keeps you in every ball game. The only problem you have is something like TCU game, where you got to put up a lot of points, and if you can't, luckily we could, and I don't know if we can do that this year, but I know that we're solid at running back, and we're solid on the line, and tight ends we're not too shabby, so I feel like we can still control the clock, control games.
Hey, Sammy, you mentioned a question mark at the quarterback position. Can you talk a little bit more about what we might see from the quarterback position?
Well, Orgy.
First of all, who have they announced a starter?
No, I not that I've read or seen. Orgy. What's interesting is Sharon Moore has he hasn't announced a starter yet. So what's interesting is you got a super athletic guy, Jalen Milroe style. Can he throw the ball?
Yeah.
Because we saw this with Joe Milton. We saw a super athletic quarterback, hard thrower, couldn't be accurate. So that's going to be the question with Orgy. If he can be accurate, then we know we got something special. The Warren kid and the Tuttle kid, they're game managers. From what I've seen, I haven't watched a lot of them. They're game managers. So, if we want to see the wow factor, we hope that Orgy develops and can, because he's going to be a wow factor. The other two are game managers. We won't go wrong with them, but there may be an X factor with Orgy, especially if he can be accurate.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a good point because once you put an athlete back there at quarterback, you have a chance through the air and on the ground to make things happen, which will be, I think, will be fun to watch. Hopefully, he can get the aerial attack under control sooner than later.
Yes, especially with the gauntlet coming. I mean, because we got a gauntlet. Luckily, they're home games, but still, these are top-notch teams. This is what I guess in 30 years. First of all, let's say 30 years ago, who would ever thought USC, Oregon, UCLA, the Big Ten's landscape has changed so much in 30 years. We would never seen that. We wouldn't have thought that, but now it's here, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting to see if we can handle a super conference. What's kind of interesting though is this year we have Texas, and that's cool that we have Texas coming into town. I'm really excited about that game. No tickets yet. Anybody on this podcast want to donate? I mean, I'm possibly thinking about doing a GoFundMe page for my team right now for a Texas ticket. But either way, Sammy Go Blue wants to invite your guys' podcast to my tailgate. If you guys want to do something there, do a show from a tailgate, a Texas game. I don't know what you guys' schedules are, but I'll make sure it's proper. All right.
All right. Might have to stay under control if we get out that way.
Right. Gotcha.
So you'll be there with a tailgate. You might just not get into the stadium, and then you got TV set up.
I'm tightwad, and I don't know if I want to do 400 yet for Texas. You know what I'm saying? Because what's the prices right now? About 400?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. I'm hoping the same theory is gonna go like this. I'm gonna wait the week of and see what I can find on StubHub for a single, and hopefully I get something under $200 or less.
There you go.
All right. If not, I'm putting in God's hands, and hopefully something happens where the week of somebody has an extra ticket and somebody calls me and says, "Hey, Sammy, Go Blue, what's up?" And then, I'm there for kickoff for sure.
What as we look ahead here a little bit, obviously you talked about probably the strength of right now that Michigan's team is built kind of the inside out. So the interior lines, offensive, defensively. Yeah, you got give me maybe a breakthrough player on one of those sides of the ball. Someone maybe we haven't heard of, or is there a stud down there? I know that was it the Graham.
Yeah,
Graham could be a beast defensively.
I mean, I think I read one like NFL projection draft for next year, and I think he's in the top 3.
Wow.
Yeah, I want to say he was number 1, to be honest with you, projected to go next year.
Yeah. The way he played last year, I believe it because I can't imagine he plays worse.
Right.
And he seems like a worker, so I'm sure he's going to be better prepared this year, or even more prepared.
You know what? I'm not gonna go with the player. I'm gonna go with the group, if that's true. And I want to see what these wide receivers can do, because now we got competition where, as far as like I talked about before, we got West Coast speed coming to the Big Ten. And I want to see I miss the Braylon Edwards. I miss the big receivers, the big passing games, and I want to see a breakout Braylon Edwards. Cornelius Johnson was good, Roman Wilson's good, but That's not what I grew up with. And I want to see somebody like who's going to come out of that receiving group and be the guy. You know,
Do you got a guy in there that might have a breakout year?
not that we've been so tight end
Oh,
dominant, you know
yeah,
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's
yeah,
going to be
definitely.
interesting to see who comes out of that group.
Yeah, no, definitely have missed those. I mean, those 6'2", 6'3" receivers,
Right.
not super fast, but lanky, and could just go up and find the football. So yeah, no, that'll be interesting to see if they can. It'll be interesting to see if they change a little bit under Sharon,
That's
and they maybe throw it a little more.
right. But he's also the offensive coordinator and said, I'm gonna run it 30 times on you.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
if that's
So
what's
and
there.
I think that's what appealed to the Harbaugh with him. He's an offensive line coach that
Yeah,
has the old Big Ten mentality of we're gonna control the ball, the clock, and you're gonna stop us to throw.
yeah,
We're
yeah.
gonna stop. You're gonna stop
If you
our
don't,
running game, and then we'll
if
throw.
you don't stop us, they will run it 30, 40 times, no doubt.
Right. So yeah, that's
I like it. It's
an
kind of an
area where
underrated group there. The wide receivers. It might be interesting to see how they perform and who kind of steps up for them.
yeah, because you know, size hasn't been other than what Johnson was 6'6", what Nico Collins was, he was 6'4", but we had a lot of small wide receivers. Somebody like Jeremy Gallon, I know he was part of a different era, but Jeremy Gallon, Roy Roundtree, those guys weren't big guys. Even Roman Wilson's not a big guy.
Yeah,
Luckily, was fast, and could catch.
yeah.
But no Braylon Edwards, you know, where you had a receiver that was dominant
Yeah.
over
Yeah,
the top.
haven't really seen
You
that.
could do a jump ball with them.
Haven't really seen that since the Lloyd Carr era, really.
Really, exactly, and yeah, exactly.
Hey,
So that's what I'd like to see a little bit more of. But the fact that we're one of the best teams that utilize our tight ends and is is cool. I think it's not. I mean, maybe that's the wrong word, but it's just interesting how dominant Michigan has been with their tight ends and how they become pretty much kind of a little bit tight end you.
Yeah.
and rushing the ball. What Donovan Edwards, obviously now he'll be finally kind of be the featured back. What do you think the ceiling is for him this season? I've heard the word Heisman maybe thrown out there. Is that realistic that he might be a finalist for that, or is that?
I think that's honestly, I think if they can open up, the guy's a horse, right? The guy's a good running back. Um, but is he ready to take 30 snaps? One, because
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? And two, um, what is Michigan's offense going to do to help them? And like what I just talked about
Yeah.
receiving, because what passing opens up the run. So it's gonna. I mean, we can't totally count on him, or the teams are just gonna stick 8 guys in the box, and it's gonna be a hard season for him. So, Heisman Trophy, I think that's a little far fetched. Doak Walker, maybe.
Okay.
But if you're talking Doak Walker, you got to be in the same breath as Heisman. But I
Yeah.
really think it depends on um how well they throw
Okay.
and how far he will go.
All right.
Because I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you guys think he can take 30 handoffs a game and be the grinder pounder, um, take the workload like that?
I really don't. I think he can handle 20, low 20s maybe, but to get up into that 30 range, I mean, hardly any running backs get those kind of carries nowadays anyway. It's rare to see a running back get 30 carries.
Right.
Because obviously offenses pass a lot more now, and your backfield usually has kind of a two-headed monster. But if he is going to be in the conversation as a Heisman, he's going to have to get probably 20 to 22, 23 carries a game in order to be able to gain enough yards to be in that conversation.
Correct. Correct. Who's going to be his who's going to be number two? Is it? I mean, I want to know how good that Marshall kid, that running back, that freshman kid, and the other kid from Corona, Cabana, Cole Cabana. You
What
know what I'm saying?
No, but do you think he has to get just 20 touches or 20 carries?
I think 20 touches, 25 touches, 20 carries, and I mean by five other touches is he's he's got hands out of the backfield.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
So I think he needs at least 25 touches.
Sammy, you've been a fan for a long time. You're well known in the West Michigan area as a
Right.
huge Michigan fan.
Regional.
Because,
I'm regional.
I love Michigan football. I love Michigan basketball. I love Michigan. I know Big Mo's a big fan too, but there is nobody that I know, at least from the football side, that is as big a fan of Michigan football as you. How did you become a Michigan fan, and how long ago? Do you remember how old you were, or how when that all started?
It really started in, probably about 88 or 89 when I started like getting interested in sports. I knew my sister had graduated from U of M. And I believe it was the 89 Rose Bowl I watched, and I just started following them. I grew up in, I didn't grow up with a lot. We only had 3 channels. And Michigan football was on pretty much every Saturday, so I got to watch a lot of it. And that's pretty much the start of it. It's probably like A, my sister graduating from it, B, gaining some interest in just sports, and then C, Michigan football being on all the time. And that's the pretty much the root of my
Through
passion for Michigan football.
through those, so obviously 88. For some of us old guys, that's getting harder and harder to count.
Right.
Gosh, what is that now? So 88 would have been 30,
Well, 35 years ago.
35 years ago.
Right.
Wow, what was that?
Whoa.
Right.
Name one or two of your like most memorable Michigan football moments.
Um,
And it could, I mean, obviously, this could just be
I'm gonna,
personal. It could be,
I'm gonna do this in like a 2 parts. I'm gonna do a couple games
okay.
that were losses that I remember.
Oh,
Um, the Cordell Stewart thing I can vividly remember.
Oh,
I was at that
heartbreaking.
game.
I can
Heartbreaking.
vividly remember that game only because it was a night of Finville's homecoming. I was all dressed up. I was thought it was in a wrap. My mom asked me to move something in the kitchen. Last play of the game, I go in to help her, and I can vividly remember hearing Keith Jackson's voice. And I thought in my head at 14, 15 years old, I'm like, oh shit. To be honest with you, I'm sorry and trying to keep it PG, but I was like, oh my God. And I went and seen the replay, and I'm like, did this really happen? Did that really? Yeah, this happened. So that game was a loss, was a memorable one. The second game that was a loss that was a memorable one was the 2005 Rose Bowl when we played Texas. Um, I feel like there were stars everywhere on that field. We had one job, and they had a two-headed monster. They had Cedric Benson, they had Vince Young, and we had chose to stop Cedric Benson from the game plan, from what I remember. And I thought we had enough to slow down Vince Young, and we didn't. The guy just ran, and he's still probably running. And it was a young Michigan team, freshman quarterback, Mike Hart and Chad Henne were both freshmen. Braylon Edwards was a man among boys and receivers in that game. Steve Bruston came out that game. That game for me will always be like the best game I ever watched Michigan, even though we lost. It was a great game. Couple games that come off my head that were wins were the 05 Penn State game where it was Henne to Manningham in the back of the end zone last second. I was at that game, opposite end zone, all the way up. Travis Kazi's tickets, he had it in the last row opposite end zone, so I can kind of watch that play develop. Phil Brabs kicking a game-winning field goal in 02 against Washington. I was at that game, same scenario, opposite end zone. I actually watched him split the uprights, time running out. I think Rick Neuheisel was a coach at Washington that year.
Yep.
Game day was at that game. But probably the most memorable one that I like can say is probably like top game for me was Lloyd Carr's last game.
Oh.
That year was a crazy year. We lost to App State. We lose to Ohio State. Lloyd Carr announces his retirement. Gets leaked out by Kurt Herbstreit. Remember, Les Miles is going to be the coach of Michigan.
Yeah.
Leaked out at that game. Les Miles turns down Michigan because he was in the championship game with LSU and he didn't want that to be a distraction. But the way we ended that game, Florida was the reigning national championship. We saw Michigan's talent flex that game.
Yeah, we did.
Mike Hart, we didn't back down from the SEC. We gave it to we hung slug. We was a slug match, but we ended up, I think, pulling away. But I really felt like that game was a year the team that I was waiting for all year to watch.
Yeah.
Because we had talent everywhere. Adrian Arrington, we had Mike Hart, we had Chad Henne. I'm trying to think who was the other guys. Defensively, we were loaded. I think Burgess was on that team. Who else? Can you guys name some players on that 08 team? I'm trying to think off my head.
Hey, we don't have the nickname "Go Blue" in our
right. I'm struggling right now. I'm struggling.
No, I mean, certainly Chad Henne and Mike Hart, which was part of the reason I think were they preseason ranked not as high as number 2.
Yeah.
And
we lost to App State that game. We lost the opening game. Week later, we have Dennis Dixon and Oregon coming to town.
Yeah.
Okay. Or 2 weeks later, Ryan Mallett ended up playing that game. I think he started that game. Chad Henne got hurt. So yeah, we were coming off that 07 Rose Bowl off, lost to USC. We had everybody coming back. There was no reason why we shouldn't have been at the end of that year being in the national championship game or
Jason
being in the
Avant,
top game.
Jason Avant,
Jason Bond was on that team.
Oh, yeah.
They had some great talent. Chris Graham, the Brick. They had Sean Crable. They had a great recruiting class. Who I think was their senior year. That was their last game. From like the 04 recruiting class. If I remember right. But to send Lloyd Carr out like that, which I think, Lloyd Carr is like, to me, one of the best college coaches ever. I think he cares about his players. I think he, I think he epitomizes what Michigan man is. But to send him out with a victory, I can picture in my head just the players holding him up after that game. I think that's the most memorable game, LC's final game.
Yeah, I think the hype that year, I think, like I said, Michigan, I think was preseason number 2. Ohio State might have been number 1. Either way, they were both top 5. And the talk was Michigan had the best offense in the country. Ohio State had the best defense in the country. And they're probably going to be, undefeated going into the big game at the end of the season. And then, game 1.
It was done after game 1. And it's just, it's sad because that team was so talented.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Lamar Woodley.
They had everybody, dude.
Alan Branch.
They were good. Actually, yeah. That was a very disappointing year because there's so much promise.
The hype was there, man. The
hype was there.
Well, Sammy, I appreciate you putting such a positive spin on that Florida game because obviously it was a positive. It was a huge win. It was Lloyd Carr's last game. But all I can remember from that game is the interview they did with Rich
Rodriguez.
He was at the game on the sideline.
He was on the sideline.
Oh.
And you know what?
At the time, we were like, oh, sweet, And
right. At the time, he was the hottest name out there.
Yep.
He turned down Alabama the year before. His offenses were great.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. His offenses were great. I wish Michigan would have invested a little more into a top-notch defensive coordinator from. But I don't think he felt there was a mismatch in culture from the
Yeah.
get-go.
No,
So I don't think it was ever going to work out.
Probably not. Probably not.
well, Sammy, I was actually at the big house for that Colorado game you mentioned, and what an atmosphere that was. It went from loud, everyone's happy, yelling, screaming, excited, last play of the game, we're about to win, to dead silence. 110,000 people, dead silence, except for this small little section of maybe 1,000 Colorado fans that were going crazy.
Hey, man,
It was so surreal.
I had a dance that night, and I didn't go to that dance very happy. I was like, really? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know,
But
you
speaking of the
know,
big house, it's an incredible place, one of the best places on the face of the earth. Obviously, you've been there several times. Can you just give us some of your thoughts on the cathedral that is the big house in Ann Arbor, Michigan?
Okay, so I've been to the Rose Bowl, I've been to Penn State, I've been to those are the two biggest stadiums I've been to.
Yeah,
I've been to Notre Dame. Um, Michigan Stadium's like iconic. I mean, let's just get that out. It's iconic. Um, is it the loudest? No, it's not the loudest. Do you feel tradition when you walk in? Yes. Um, our night games, what we got the best we have Michigan can do? Yes. I mean, I feel like our night games atmosphere can compete with SEC.
yeah,
Noon games, unless it's a big game, you know how they are sometimes. Just
yeah,
say
yeah,
it's super hot. You
yeah,
know what I'm saying? But you just feel tradition. That's all I can say. Because
yep,
when you walk in that place, you feel it.
yep,
But like I said, it's not the loudest. If you're looking for loud, 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 unless it's a night game or a top 10 game, you're not gonna get the loud. But you do get the tradition.
sure,
The band, the student section, um,
unmatched,
the fight song,
unmatched.
you get there's not a better place in the house to watch a game. And you will get college football tradition. Period.
Yeah. All right. Well, Sammy Go Blue, we really appreciate your time. We really appreciate you spending time with us today. It would be great to get you back talking Michigan football here and there throughout the season.
Yeah, I'll have my agent reach out to you guys. Maybe you can work out something. I know Club Shay Shay's been asking, calling. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but with that said, though, if this is our parting goodbye here, I'd like to give a shout out to Dr. DeVecchio, my dentist. My teeth look great. My orthodontist, Dr. George. I think you're retired now. U of M alum. Teeth look great. All right.
I love it, Sammy. Speaking of, we will be in touch with their agent right now. The company, the Attack the Rack company here, we're pretty young, don't have a lot of funds, but we're always looking for sponsors. That'd be a
Hey,
great way,
I do pro bono work. I do pro bono work.
All right. Well, hey, the way one segment that Big Mo and I do every week on the podcast is our favorite three. It could be favorite three of anything we can come up with. Obviously, today we're talking Michigan football. We'd love to have you join us for the segment before we get out of here. We'll go favorite three Michigan football players of all time. We'll go one at a time. There probably will be some repeats. That's okay. But we'll go, Sammy, you'll go first, and then Big Mo, and then myself. We'll go around the horn 3 times. So we all get our favorite 3 Michigan Wolverines. Sammy, let's start with you.
I'm gonna go with Tony Bowles. I don't know if you guys know him, but he was a late 90s or late 80s running back that ran like a deer.
Okay.
That's all I can say. He was fast and he could
All right.
All right. I'm going to go next, Curt, just so I can steal. And I think I've mentioned this before. One of my favorite U of M football players all time, definitely, easily, Mr. Woodson.
Yeah. Unreal.
Iconic, probably one of the top players to ever play his position. So, Charles Woodson.
Well, Sammy, I was a little bit later to joining the Michigan fandom than you were. You said 88. I was more like probably 90. And one of the first players I watched every single week at least was Desmond Howard. So I got to go Desmond Howard. He's probably on your guys' list too, maybe. I don't know. But Desmond Howard, my favorite Michigan football player of all time. That moment when he did the Heisman pose, I still think in the history of sports is one of the most incredible, iconic moments we've ever seen. So I'll go Desmond Howard with my first one.
I am gonna go. So it's me, right? I'm two.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna go with the guy from Cedar Rapids, Ohio, or Iowa, and I mentioned him before, but I always liked his length, and I always liked. He reminded me of Plexico Blurs, 6'6", skinny, big hands. Adrian Harrington.
Okay.
He's from Cedar Rapids. I really enjoyed watching him back in the day.
All right.
Nice one. Nice one. I'm going to go just obviously had a great career at Michigan, but probably one of the better names in Michigan football is Tim Biaka Batuka.
Tamunga. Yeah. He was awesome. He was awesome.
Hey, 285 yards against Michigan or against Ohio State.
Yeah.
Busting NFL, but got him in the lottery.
He got paid.
He got paid. Nothing wrong with that.
My second one, I'm also a running back. Played a little bit before to Tim Biaka, and that is Tyrone Wheatley.
Oh, I was going to say him.
Unreal running back in college. Also, kind of like Biaka didn't really pan out too well in the NFL, but as a college player, one of my favorites, definitely of several phenomenal running backs Michigan football has had. For me, Tyrone Wheatley takes the cake.
Big, fast, track star.
Yeah, he was a track star
1991, too. Houston came into town. I had tickets for that game. First play of the game, he ran it back 99 yards off the kick. Tyrone Wheatley did. So, yeah. What you got, buddy? What you got, Coach K?
How's that?
It's back to you, Sammy.
Oh, yeah, back to you.
It's back to me?
Yeah. Don't be trying to call me out.
I'm sorry. Hey, I'm going to go.
Whose show is this? Whose podcast is this?
Right. I'm going to go with, and then Coach already said it, the pride of Fremont, Ohio, Charles Woodson. He changed the position. What he did his junior year at Michigan, winning the Heisman, being an offensive presence. Who can ever forget? And I just still remember that Penn State game, where it was, I believe it was a top 5 game in Happy Valley, and that 98 team or 97-98 team laid the hammer down. And I just remember Charles Woodson catching that touchdown pass, looking back, running in the end zone. He was a player of the time.
Yep.
That's all I can say. He changed games.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
hey, I might need a little help with this one, because I was trying to think back. I grew up a Michigan football fan. Steve Morrison.
Linebacker. He was a center.
Center?
No, you're right. Steve Morrison was a linebacker.
Was
number 36.
Right. Okay.
He played. Yeah.
I'm throwing it back because I don't think he wasn't like he ended up in the NFL a little bit, but nothing extraordinary.
Yeah, he was number 36. I think he might be on the cover when Cordell, who caught Westbrook catching that pass. I think he might be the back of his jersey.
Okay.
I know you see Ty Law. I think he was trailing him.
Yeah. Ooh, Ty Law's a good one, man.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah. Jeez. So Steve Morrison, I think, like I said, linebacker. Again, one of the reasons I probably played linebacker positionally wise was he was just that big, strong backer.
Was
Probably not a great cover guy, so he probably shouldn't have been downfield covering Cordell or who caught the pass. But
Westbrook.
yeah, I'm gonna throw out Steve Morrison, one of my, just because I grew up watching him, and that kind of pushed me into playing some linebacker through my high school career.
Nice.
All right. And then I'll wrap it up here. My third, it was tough because I've liked several of the wide receivers Michigan has had, but I think my favorite one, Amani Toomer.
Monty Toomer.
So he was out of all.
He's a California kid. I think he went to Concord de La Salle.
Okay.
For real.
And then had a okay NFL career.
He had longevity. That means he had to check every week.
Yeah, he did.
He had a check.
Yep.
For about 10 years.
Yep. So that'll wrap up my third and final choice, Amani Toomer.
Nice.
Money.
Sammy, one other thing, and we'll get you out of here. But when you mentioned number 36, that you knew his jersey number, I remember taking this back and wrapping this all up, tying it with a bow. We talked some Fenville basketball. We talked a lot of Michigan football. I remember on a bus ride home from a game, me and Big Mo were thinking of every single Michigan football player we could think of. And you knew every single player's number.
You know what? I do. I did. I still do. But I'm feeling my age. I'm feeling my age. We're pushing 50, guys. We're no spring chickens no more.
Ouch.
Well, okay, I'm sorry, bad word. Bad word. But yeah, there was a time where I was like an encyclopedia. Like I kept up in the recruiting and everything.
Yeah.
But now at 45 years old, recruiting's hype. And I can't invest into somebody that may be there a year, may not be there a year, gets mad and wants to hit the portal. I don't get into recruiting that like I did just because of that.
Well, hey, next time we get you out, it'd be great to pick your brain a little bit about your thoughts on NIL and on the portal, but we'll save that.
Yeah, definitely keep me in. I'd like to, like I said, I'll get a hold of my agent. We'll have him get a hold of you, and then we'll try to negotiate a weekly or something.
Yeah, no, we'll have we'll have our sales team reach out to your agent, and we'll.
Right, I appreciate that, guys. Before we go, keep this in here. Don't cut this out. I know you're the editor, dude. Bubba's Bounce House, service in West Michigan, Lakeshore area, Holland, Saugatuck, South Haven. All we run is fun. Go blue.
All right, go blue. Thanks,
go blue. Guys. Go blue. Hey, Sammy was not going to walk anywhere home. He wasn't walking away from a bus. He's got somewhere to be over there, so he's on his way out. He was out the door pretty quick there, Curt.
Oh, that was great. We haven't had we've only had we've done some interviews, but we haven't had a guest peace out like that. That was an awesome exit from the interview. Got to give him props for that. That was a great way to exit.
Hopefully it was for delivery and not maybe for one of those bounce houses.
Yes. Great interview. I would say winning interview, and I would say, hey, another winning episode of the Attack the Rack podcast. We'll end it here, Big Mo, with our winner of the week. We mentioned Hard Knocks a couple times on the program here. We mentioned it a couple times during our Attack the Rack daily lineup shows during the week. My winner of the week is Pardon My Take podcast, Big Cat PFT. Those guys every year are huge Hard Knocks fans. They talk, they're every Wednesday episode throughout the month of August, year after year, all about Hard Knocks, recapping the episode from the night before. Big Cat being a huge Bears fan, and they actually got on the episode last week of Hard Knocks. There's some footage of them doing an interview with Caleb Williams. Pretty cool for them. I'm going to give my winner of the week to Big Cat PFT and the Pardon My Take crew.
Nice. you brought up kind of the movie situation, Curt. I mean, it's tough to find a good one these days. Obviously, nothing like the classics that we grew up with.
No.
Sometimes we forget how old we're getting. But one of my favorite pastimes is going to watch a movie with my daughter. We're big Marvel fans,
Okay.
and obviously had the chance to go watch Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah.
And you mentioned it's an entertaining movie. Probably you need to be the appropriate age. Might be a little bit too much swearing in it, even for myself. Especially if you see it with your son or daughter, depending on your age. Keep it appropriate. But I will say, entertaining. You need that hour and a half, 2 hours just to kind of forget about what's going on.
Sure.
I'm going to give the win to the week. Deadpool, Wolverine.
All right.
Check it out if you're age appropriate. Can I say that? Age appropriate. Parental consent. But there's a good movie to just escape, entertainment. Sometimes it's tough to just find an entertaining movie these days.
Sure. And I'm not a Marvel guy, but I did really like, I did watch the original Deadpool movie and I thought it was really good. So maybe I'll take an hour and a half to escape and watch Deadpool.
Well, Curt, they got, I think there's number 2 and this would be kind of number 3. So
right.
catch up, man.
Right. You're right.
You got time to catch up.
All right. Well, hey, that was a good winner. Good winner, Big Mo. All right, we are out of here. And as always, we are going to send you off with the Big Mo Motivational Minute.
Big Mo's Motivational Minute. When I started this idea, I wanted to make sure it came from the heart with what I was sharing, and heard a quick message this week just about taking a chance, putting yourself out there, getting involved in maybe things that you enjoy but you're not quite familiar with. And if you're on that other side of the fence, maybe it means reaching out to people, your friends, connections, community, get them involved in maybe something that they're not comfortable with, and opening their door, opening their horizon. So Big Mo's Motivational Minute. Take a chance, take that leap of faith, and give something new a try.